Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, so this is a continuation from the last video. Okay, so this is probably the most important message, and I've condensed it down to this one video. I've repeated it probably a dozen times, but I don't think I've said it in a way that will have an impact on you yet. And this is the number one thing I teach in any and all of my courses. It's called internal awareness. So in the last video, I was talking about self-authority at the very end. I'm really talking about self-approval. It's when you drop down inside and you go, what do I feel about this? Now, a lot of people might say, what do I think? But it's not really a think, it's really a feeling. It's like, yeah, go ahead and do it. No, you need to gather more information. You know, like, oh yeah, I have a good feeling about this, let's do this. So you drop down inside and you notice what your body is feeling. Okay, so I'm gonna nail it in this video. I've got it. So everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to live an awesome life. Everybody wants to have a great relationship. Everyone just wants to be, I don't know the word I'm talking, like you want to take charge of your life. Like whether you want to be wealthy, successful, get a college degree, I don't care what it is. There's one thing that the majority of people are not doing because they were conditioned not to do it. And logically telling you to do it, it means you like, well, what does that mean? How do I do that? Like there's no understanding. All the power in the world, whether it's about power to be happy, power to love, power to be loved, power to succeed, power to take action, to feel good about yourself. Everything you want in life comes down to this one single thing. Look within. I almost don't want to bring up the word Jesus right now because a lot of you, oh yeah, it's about airy-fairy bullshit. No, it's not about airy-fairy bullshit. Jesus Christ was teaching you how to connect with your own power. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, Jesus was a personal development coach, for sure. Do you want to know why you're not happy? Do you want to know why you've gotten screwed over so much in your life? Do you want to know why you're so confused and lost? Because you let other people tell you what to do. You have all these different people, from YouTube social media influencers to everyone you've ever met in your life, telling you 10 different things, pulling you in 10 different directions. Telling you what's right and what's wrong and what you should believe in, what you shouldn't believe in, what to value, what not to value, what's important, what's not important. This will screw anybody up. And for me to come along and just say, hey, think for yourself, decide for yourself, that is not going to help you. Because once again, all of the advice you've gotten from people is external, dissociated. Egotistically, which is your logic, logically, oh, it sounds wonderful. But it doesn't help. You know, the one thing I've noticed on YouTube, you get these guys that get like millions of followers, and they're giving all these tips and advice and these really cool sayings and phrases that other people said 100 years ago. And here's my question. Has your life changed? Are you truly happy? Are you content? Are you enjoying your life? Do you have clarity? See, you really should judge everything by results. Does it work? There's another phrase, I'm sure there's a lot of, but there's another phrase that people, I remember someone said this to me about 20 years ago. He goes, why do you let them have, how did he say it? Why do you let people have power over you? You're letting them, I don't know if it was power over you, but it was like, he goes, why do you give them so much power? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I've probably heard that dozens of times, and I had no idea, like, what do you mean? Like, well, I don't get it. Like, what does that mean? But he never told me. In fact, I don't even think he understood. He was just saying a catchphrase that was going around in the 70s and 80s. It sounded cool, but nobody ever knew what it really meant. So there's a real big question you need to ask someone when they say, hey, you just need to be rich. You just need to open up to receive. I mean, that's another one I should hear all the time. And man, I yelled at this lady. She was the owner of like this metaphysical place. She goes, Michael, you just need to open up to receive. And I, what does that mean? And she goes, what? I go, how do you do that? Like, I don't understand. And she goes, oh, well, you just kind of open up. And another super fluff comment. I go, and I looked at her, I walked out, and I go, I'm never coming back. Because it was a load of shit. Well, you just kind of do it. You kind of just sort of open up. Like, how? How do you do? How? The most powerful question, the most powerful word you will ever use in your life is how. I don't give a shit how beautiful that social media influencer looks, or how masculine and cool and how many steroids that social media dude is on, and how he's got this perfect haircut every 5 days. If they're giving you a load of shit of, you just need to be happy. Oh, have you ever learned, Mark Twain said, Rrr. It's like, yeah, I've read Mark Twain my whole life. Like it didn't do anything. But I tell you what, I got on the path to how at a very young age. It was 19 when Tony Robbins first said that. He goes, do you want to know how to do that? And I was like, what? He goes, do you want to know how? I was like, yeah. I don't know what it was, but that word how really, it hit me right upside the head one day when I was listening to Tony Robbins' seminar. And I'm like, that's the whole thing. Like, people will tell you, you just got to be happy. You just got to be rich. You just got to... And it's just like, how do you do it? I want you to write that 3-letter word down with a question mark everywhere. How? You know what? Start asking people. When people give you advice, because I'm telling you, it is super fluff bullshit that they don't even know that they don't even know. They're just literally at the surface level of bull crap. And all you have to do is look at them and go, well, how do you do that? And then just shut up and watch them fumble and mumble. Well, you just and they'll use the word just, and they'll use the word kind of, and they'll use the phrase sort of. I want to know specifically in detail exactly how do I do this. So a follow-up question could be how specifically. See, the reason why you're not successful in whatever area of life you want to be in, even if it's just being happy, believe it or not, there's actual physical neurological techniques that you can do that will make you happy. I mean, it's beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay, I'm going to give you a very specific one right now. Look up. Maybe not straight up, but like I'm facing the wall. I'm looking up at where the ceiling meets the wall. So I'm looking up pretty freaking, not straight up, but pretty much at a far angle. Look up, keep your eyes there, and put a huge smile on your face. A huge smile. And have your eyes wide open, like you're just really happy. And put that happy expression on your face. And you hold it, and you hold it, and you hold it. You cannot be sad or depressed if you do that. Now, when I teach this to people, then they're like, oh, yeah, I can. So then what they do is they put a depressing tone, and then their smile goes in reverse, upside down. Then they look back down. They put this scrunchy look on their face. I say, no. I didn't say put a scrunchy look on your face. I didn't say put narrow eyes and put a frown on and put a negative tone. Positive tone, look up. Oh, yeah, the other one is breathe. Breathe in your nose, breathe out deeply and fastly. So, do that 2 or 3 times, deep breaths, and then smile. Force a smile. It literally releases chemicals into your brain that are happy chemicals. Go ahead, do it right now. Take 5 or 6 deep breaths in your nose, out your mouth. In your nose, out your mouth. Do that 2 or 3 more times, and then look up and put a huge smile on your face while you're breathing in and out. And just hold that massive smile, eyes wide open, not too wide open, but pretty wide open, and look up at an angle. You can't help but not, like, I'm already feeling better just by doing that little bit. Believe it or not, but that's one of my strategies on how to feel better about life and how to get stuff done. Now let's talk about the specificity just a little bit. I'll get clients that will breathe in, and they don't do it. They breathe in, breathe out, like it's a pathetic. Literally, it's a pathetic. Like they're pissed off. I'm like, dude, you're never gonna get there by doing it that way. You got to breathe in deep, And you got to blow out with pursed lips. In other words, kind of narrow. Because what that does is it forces the oxygen through your lungs into your bloodstream, and that's what starts to make you feel better. See, it's all about getting the strategy correct. So there's another part that will happen is they'll breathe in the nose, they'll start doing it deeper, and then they'll open their mouth wide open, like that. It's like, no, I didn't say with your mouth wide open, I said pursed lips. See, it causes pressure to build up in your lungs, and it forces the oxygen into your bloodstream, and over time, that if you do it enough, you start to feel better. That's why you feel down. You don't have enough oxygen in your bloodstream. See, there's more to this. We could talk about, eating foods that are higher in pH, such as celery, lettuce, watermelon, et cetera, et cetera. Because when you're having an acidic pH balance in your bloodstream, et cetera, it can make you feel really crappy. It'll make your muscles ache. It'll hurt. You won't feel enthusiastic. It sucks. So whether you want to be a doctor, a dentist, a movie producer, you have to learn the strategies. And here's the other part of it. You have to practice them and practice them and practice them and develop them to a level of expertise and or professionalism. And when you break them down into small enough steps, you can learn any single step as long as it's small enough. And then you practice it and develop it to the point like, boom, I'm an expert level at this. Now I can add the next step. So a lot of it has to do with conditioning this into you. So obviously in person, one-on-one, or in a small group or in a small training, I can work with you guys one-on-one and watch what you're doing, and you can see me in what I'm doing, and I can correct you. Like, okay, no, you're not quite doing this right. Through a video, it's kind of nice. You get free advice, you get free stuff, but I can't see if you're doing it right or not. And obviously in a 25-minute video, I can't condition this into you that fast. But there are things you could, like I just gave you a tip about breathing in deep, looking up, smiling, forcing a smile. You can teach yourself how to do that. Alright, part 2 of this video. This is what this video is about. I'm leading up to this. Everything we do is about the internal and the external world. The left brain is external. That's the surface level communication processor. The right brain is the internal world. It's the in-depth. It gathers all the details and brings them together into one larger picture. So the social media experts that are giving you 30 seconds and 90-second clips on how to do something, or this, you just got to be happy. That's external surface level bullshit. And that will spin you round and round and round and round, and you will get nowhere. So Jesus said, look within. This is all about the internal world. So instead of having all these external ideas and thoughts and 10 million people telling you 10 different things without even saying, well, hey, let's take a step back. Now here's how you do it. Step 1, let's practice this for a while. Step 2, let's practice this for a while till you get good at these things. Step 3, this is the internal way. See, humans have already mastered the external brain. We overuse it. That's the problem. Now what you need to do is bring that information inside, and now you need to connect with it. And okay, I'm going to make it more specific. You need to notice, how do you feel about what someone's saying to you and teaching you? You need to go, am I getting it? Am I not getting it? Do I understand it? Am I sure? When you learn how to become an internal being, things become clearer and clearer and clearer. So the reason why a narcissist could gaslight you is because you're external. You're always looking to what other people think. Well, what do you think? Oh, is that what the belief is? And this is how narcissists will twist the meaning and definitions of words on you. It's like, oh, so is that what you believe? Well, that means this. See, because you're always listening externally to what other people think. And this is how they can gaslight you. Then the next day they'll say, oh, that doesn't mean that. That means this. And you're like, wait a minute. Yesterday you said such and such. And like, oh, no, I didn't. So in this moment, you're still listening to them externally and never doing what we call in NLP an internal check. You need to bring your awareness back down inside and pay attention. What is your gut telling you? It's like your gut has a really anxiety, fear, anger, fuck this guy. And you're like, oh, this guy's bullshit me. Fuck him. The reason why narcissists can get people so locked up in their head and spinning, and they get to a point where, see, you have a complete psychological collapse because they play these games where they have all these different beliefs that conflict with each other, values that conflict, and they've done it on purpose to you your entire life. You finally get to a point, especially if you're dealing with a malignant narcissist, to where you can't even think. Their number one goal is to turn off that connection to your emotions and feelings and your gut feeling, your intuition, so now they can think for you, and now they play mind games. They will tell you to cut your hair, to change your hairstyle. They'll tell you to wear different clothes. They'll tell you to quit your job. They'll tell you to, if you have your own business, oh, don't do it like that. They will just screw with you on every level that you can't even imagine. Thank God I started learning how to be internal at a very, very young age. I would say 23, 25 years old. They were teaching us how these techniques that I now call internal awareness techniques, the whole look within. And I began to develop this. At the time when I learned it, like, why are we learning this? Like, I didn't understand. Like, they may have even explained why and what the purpose was, but I probably didn't understand it until you physically experience it. All right, I'll give you an example. So until you physically experience this, it's kind of a hard concept to understand. That's why everything that I teach isn't just the surface level. Okay, be internal, yeah, be emotionally grounded. I'm always saying, hey, notice your gut. Drop down inside. Do this. Do the breathing technique. I'm always giving you something that can at least push you in the direction of developing this. So I had this friend. He made pretty good money when we were really young. Had his own house and all this stuff. And at the time, I didn't quite understand what was going on, but I went to this, it's the same 5-week training, and the 5-week training was all about conditioning this internal awareness, because this is, right brain is how you do therapy. The right brain is how you do energy healing and consciousness work and all that stuff. It's also the internal brain that connects with your gut, with your intuition. This is self-thinking. So during the training, I didn't really quite understand what was going on. It's not like they hit it. It's like, hey, we're going to develop this. We're going to learn this technique today. We're going to practice it for like 30 minutes or an hour and then, do it during the training, etc. throughout the whole day. Then the next day we would learn another technique and then another one. And by the time I came home, now I didn't really understand what was going on. I came home, walked in the door, and this person said, hey, and he starts like telling me what to think and what to do. Well, don't you think this isn't that bullshit? And I remember something happened. I remember I was sitting down, I was looking up at this person, and then I dropped my eyes and I brought my awareness inside my gut, inside my belly, my heart area. And I remember looking like, well, no, what I think is blah, 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 blah. And then he started to bark at me and get mad. And I'm like, what's he getting mad about? Like, I couldn't understand. And then he just stormed off. I was like, what's he pissed off about? And then I went back internal. Oh, this is the first time I've ever done this. And it was like, before I would get anxiety and fearful and like, oh, okay. But I didn't. But what I did was, the shift was I brought my awareness inside, which automatically grounds you, which gets rid of that chaotic, staticky energy. So now you're electrically grounded, so you can think for yourself, and you have a solid feeling. You're like, well, this is what I feel. This is what I think. And so what happened was, I realized, because he made such a spectacle when he stormed off, like, wait, what's he mad about? And when I went back internal, this is the first time in my life I had realized that I'd ever gone internal when somebody was telling me what to think, what to believe, and this is the way it is. And here's the thing, there was no, what's the word I'm looking for? There was no arguing on my part. There was no fighting. There was no chaos. There was no resistance. I just went inside, and boom, it was literally boom, grounded. And came back up and looked at him, and I spit out, fed to him what I felt. Here's the really cool thing. There was no guilt. There was no shame. There was no, oh my God, he's mad at me. It was just matter of fact. See, when you're internal, you're solid. When you're solid, people's energy doesn't go inside you. Now, this is why a lot of you have anxieties, because you're not emotionally grounded. When your energy is physically inside your body and the space around you, other people can't just shove their anger in you. And that was the difference. He did get mad. He did bark at me. He did storm off. But the difference was the energy didn't go inside me like before, and I'd get all scared and shit. Whereas this time it was like, oh, well, this is what I feel. And I felt very comfortable about it, regardless of his reaction. Alright, before I come to the climax of this video, I want to say this. Number one, yes, I do teach this in one-on-one coaching. We can teach this over the phone. It is probably better in person, but we can definitely do it over the phone. I'll use my energy to essentially guide your energy. When your energy feels it and sees it, like, oh, that's right, I forgot about this. Because this was the normal state that you used to be in when you were a young child. Like, this was like whenever you go off onto your own, like, this is the way you were. It had to be, okay, this is probably part 3. So here's the whole game. Narcissists have been attacking you at a very young age. So what they've been doing is conditioning you to disconnect from your own intuition, your own gut feeling, your own groundedness, your own solidity of being solid. So what they did was every time you did that, when internal, they would punish you. And every time you thought for yourself, you dropped down inside, they would punish you, they would scare you. Sometimes they would physically harm you. And what happens is on an unconscious level, your unconscious system goes, oh shit, they don't want me to do that. Or it's not even they don't want me to do that. It's more like, oh shit, I get punished every time I go internal, so don't do that. Alright, so let me tell you something. There was a massive shift in my life when I came back from Hawaii and I was doing this internal awareness. Every person that I knew, from my mother, my sister, my brothers, to my friends, to people at school, every single person would get pissed off because I had surrounded myself essentially with a bunch of narcissists, people who wanted to tell me what to think, what to believe, what to do. Like, this is the way you are, this is the way we want to control you, be this person, limit yourself. And here I am thinking for myself. That flipped them out. That really enraged them. It scared them. And it terrified them. Now, logically, at the time, I didn't really understand why everyone was so. Because you'd just be sitting at lunch, having a sandwich, ball. Hey, Mike, what do you think of all that? And I'd go internal to think about it, even if it was only for half a second or split second, and then come back out and look at them. Oh, that enraged them, and that's what it was. Now, at the time, I didn't understand what. I mean, it was just like I'm just going internal. It wasn't like I was doing something rude or disrespectful. But to them, they were losing control. And that really upsets people when you're not the way that they want you to be. Well, all these people were trying to hold me back. Well, you should just quit kickboxing. At the time I was national champion. Like, yeah, I'm going to freaking quit. But it caused a lot of heartache and pain and suffering because this battle was everywhere. Like, what is going on? Like, why are they doing this? So at the time, I didn't quite understand what was going on. So you're getting a massive gift that took me decades to really understand. The good news is I had a series of internal awareness grounding, emotional grounding techniques that I had learned at all these different trainings and spending time with monks and all this stuff. And all I know is like I'm going to go back internal because I hurt inside. And because they kept stinging me, it caused me to go internal even more because I like that feeling. It's a great feeling. So it's like I said earlier, like when my friend got all pissed off and barked at me and yelled at me a couple times and stormed off, normally that would have hurt my gut. That would have hurt gave me anxiety and all that stuff. And it didn't. And I was like, wow, you have to understand, that was an astounding experience. Like, wow, that's different. Like, that was cool. I want more of that. As the Schwarzenegger says, I want more power. Now, here's the thing. It's not power over people. It's you simply connecting with your own power. This is what I mean when I say take back your power. Step into your power. You're literally stepping back inside you. So here's the whole purpose of Jesus and therapies and all this stuff is you were beaten down. You were punished every time you connected to yourself. Every time you did what we call an NLP, an internal check. Meaning you were checking how you felt about something. Felt about what they said, the question they asked about a project. See, these are the people that get ahead in life. These are the people that have clarity. And I gotta tell you something, even though this pretty imposing guy was yelling at me, I had absolute clarity and calmness inside. So what did the narcissists of the world do to all of us? They punished us, physically punished us, did bad things to us, so we wouldn't listen to ourselves. And then they convinced us, no, power is on the external, it's on the outside of you. No, that's their power over you. That's why they do that, so they can control you, so you can go externally. It's like a rope they can grab onto. Now they get to manipulate you, gaslight you, and twist you in circles. And how did they do this? They did this by constantly, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, of constantly playing little mind games, telling you you're no good, punishing you for I was punished for getting good grades. And I was thoroughly whipped and beaten the next morning. This happened every time I got a report card. Every time I won a boxing match, every time I won a medal or a trophy, the next morning I was woken up, my mom would show me the trophy, and she'd start whipping the crap out of me. But it doesn't have to. See, I'm only using that to get your brain to go, wait a minute. Even if it was just a verbal chastisement, or maybe they abandoned you, or I remember when I was doing really well in business, my girlfriend just left one day. She wanted to give me that abandonment wound. Yes, she was a narcissist. Anytime you did good, they punished you in some way, whether it's abandon you, leaving you alone, never talking to you again, yelling, screaming, playing little like oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. I won the state championships, and my family, when I came home that night, I was so freaking happy. I don't want to hear about it. Watch TV. Shh, be quiet. Watch this TV show. Everything was devalued or punished in one way or another. Meaning you were taught that you were not of value, you're no good, and then on top of it, you were taught that you're a bad person. Okay, here's what happens. There's a technique that they use, I have in another video, but they get you to begin to punish yourself. And that's when the smirk comes out. When they can see that you begin to judge yourself harshly, negatively, and you begin to look at yourself in a negative light, that's when they start to smirk. That's when they're like, my job is done here. Now I don't have to punish him. Now I can move on to the next victim. Now, I admit they are professionals at this, but there is an answer to completely destroy this evil cycle. It's teaching you, conditioning you how to drop back inside in a solid manner, in an electrical, emotional, grounded manner, to where you have this solidity to where it doesn't matter what someone says to you. You just go inside like, no, that's not how I feel about this. That's not what I believe. That's not what I think. And again, now, okay, watch this. Then you get to the people that are not grounded, they're not emotionally grounded, and they just disagree. So if you say take a right turn, like I'm going to take a left turn, they just disagree with you. That is not what I'm talking about. Because they might say something to you that actually makes sense. Like, yeah, that makes sense. But you're not doing it because you're just agreeing. You do an internal check. Your body has a good feeling about it. Yeah, I actually believe that too. In other words, I'm not telling you to go around just disagreeing with everyone, because that's really going to screw you up too. I'm telling you to just drop down inside and listen to your gut feeling. Now let's read this. You have been criticizing yourself for years, and it hasn't worked. Try approving yourself and see what happens. Lois Hayes. Maybe it's Louise Hayes. I believe we are going through this transformation right now, right today on October 9th. It's like we have just flipped, and tomorrow's going to be the first day of turning everything in this new direction. Society has been demonic, period, end of sentence. The churches have taught us to criticize ourselves, to punish us, to do self-punishment. That's the whole narcissist abuse tactic. It's all about getting them to punish themselves, so now we don't have to watch everybody. They're gonna be self-punishers. So the churches are critical. The churches use shame. They use guilt. They're using everything in a negative, satanic way. And I'm coming along saying, hey, why don't we do it the other way around? Why don't we teach people how to think for themselves, how to listen to their intuition, how to feel good about themselves? And I'm leading up to the very end of this video, the fourth piece. Now, internal awareness and the internal strategy is something we will have to condition into you. Okay, so again, it's not something I can teach you in a 30-minute video. So you're going to have to take the internal awareness course, okay? The emotional grounding course, the look within course. It's the same course. Oh, and by the way, men, this is conditioned into you. This is 1/3 core piece of my course, Crack the Female Code for dating and relationships, to heal your relationship, to heal your emotions, teaching single guys how to meet women. The number one thing that we are going to drill into you, condition into you, is internal awareness, so you can become emotionally grounded, because this allows women to feel comfortable and relaxed around you. Ask any woman. If you don't believe me, ask any woman if you're looking for a man who's stuck in his head or a man who's emotionally grounded. Guarantee you, they're going to say, well, yeah, of course, he's emotionally grounded. So here's part 4 of this video. Love yourself. See, there is an inner child, an inner self, an inner being that literally is connected to God. Some people say that this is God. Jesus says it. Jesus says the Lord resides within the temple. Jesus says your body is the temple of the Lord. Jesus says, look within. Hey, wait a minute. Here's the deal. You need to fall back in love with yourself. You need to love yourself like that is the most beautiful girlfriend you've ever had in your life. You need to be kind to yourself. You need to spend time alone with yourself. You need to set dates with this being inside you. You need to curl up in bed and just cuddle with yourself, hold yourself, love yourself. This is a precious, beautiful child. And yes, it is sensitive. The kinder you are to it, the more it will open up to you. Now here's the secret. This child within has the keys to God, the keys to God's wisdom, the keys to opening the door to heaven. Another way of saying is this is what the book of Genesis was talking about with Adam and Eve in the garden. This is the doorway to opening up to the garden so you can spend time and be with God. And this is how you receive wisdom, love, contentment from God. You have to begin to love that child within. That's why Jesus answered the centurion and said, love. Love is the fulfillment of all the commandments. See, when you self-love, I mean a genuine self-love by yourself. Not walking, oh, I love myself, look at me, like a narcissist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about genuine self-care, genuine self-love. When you begin to develop this and nurture this, see, okay. So what's the opposite of this? The opposite is judging yourself harshly, punishing yourself, thinking bad thoughts about yourself, criticizing yourself, which is what the narcissist did. Now, narcissists know that this self inside you is a sensitive being, your emotions, your feelings. The way you gain spiritual power, the way you connect with God, guidance, wisdom, all that stuff, is by this inner being opening up to you. If you hurt it, it feels that pain massively. See, some people are so dense, it's like they've got this big freaking wall that's made of 6-inch lead. So when you throw a rock at it, they're like, I don't feel nothing. But when you open that lead door and you throw the rock through and it hits them in the face, they're like, ow, ow, ow. It's like, yes, that's your inner self. Some people never open up to their inner selves, so they're like, what is all this spiritual stuff you talk about? I don't understand. Well, yeah, because they have zero connection to it. I absolutely believe that they're telling the truth because they don't need to tell me. I can see like, oh, that's a thick person. Look how their pupils are dilated, small, their forehead scrunched together. Like even their skin becomes thicker. I'm not kidding. Because they've spent their entire life blocking out their emotions and feelings and thus blocking out the spirit world. So they have no connection to it. So the way you open up, this is the ending of the last video, is by loving yourself. Because when and it's going to take time. Oh, Mike, I did it for 3 days. It didn't work. Look, man, you've been punishing yourself for a long time, and that inner being doesn't exactly trust you at this point. You literally need to build a relationship with yourself, and it has to be based on trust, by listening to each other, by communicating with each other, by being with each other. Do you want to know why all relationships fail and end up in a freaking car wreck? Because nobody was taught to fall in love with themselves. Nobody was taught to have a relationship with themselves. Nobody was taught to literally listen to themselves. And you're like, Mike, what does that mean? So let's say you walk into a coffee shop and all of a sudden something in your gut is just, all of a sudden you get anxiety in your entire body. And you're like, oh, okay, gotta calm myself down. Do some deep breathing, look up, smile, do all these techniques. No, your body's telling you, get the hell out. See, the difference between animals and humans, when an animal starts getting anxiety and panic, they just run. They're just like, I'm out of here. They don't care why. See, humans, you literally were taught, and it took a long time to condition this into you, to not listen to when your body starts to panic. See, psychologists are like, well, let's do some therapy. Like, no, run. Go away from bad, go towards good. That's how simple life becomes. Man, there's so many things, from teachers to college classes to my college counselor to my girlfriends, that, wow, man, my body was just constantly terrified. I remember one of my exes, I even told her, I go, I am always afraid of you. I cannot relax around you. And she laughed. If I just would have listened to my body, I would have gotten rid of a lot of pain and suffering that she put me through. She thought it was funny. From friends that treated me like shit for years to family that treated me like shit for decades. If I could go back now, I would have left at 8 years old if I could have found a way. Listen to your feelings. If something feels wrong, get out. But Mike, my therapist told me to do these techniques and to ground myself and to do. No, if your body's saying, hey, it's like something shifted the minute I got around these people. Something doesn't fit. Leave, get away now. Don't sit there and talk to them. Don't ask them. Go. So here's the relationship that I'm asking you to connect with your body, to have with your body, to create with your body. So the sonar on a submarine, here's how it works. The outer skin of the submarine is connected to, we'll call it wires, okay? And these wires are connected to the sonar that's inside, where the captain or the whatever, I was never on a submarine, and I was never in the Navy, so I don't know their titles. But they're looking at the sonar, and they do pong, and the ping from the submarine goes all the way out, all the way in a full circumference circle, 365 degrees, also up and down, and it expands all the way out like a big bubble. And when it hits something, then the pong reverses and comes back. And by the timing, 1001, 1002, 1003, and then it comes back. That's how it knows, like, oh, there's a hard solid object over there on the front right at so many degrees. But how does it pick up on that feeling? The pong, the energy, comes back and hits the side of the submarine. And that's how it goes, oh, it's over there. So in other words, the sonar system is connected to the outside of the body, to the skin. So it's the same thing when you, okay, watch this. So there are some people that are so disconnected from their five senses, from their right brain, because the right brain drops down inside, connects to your body. Some people are so disconnected that you can literally go up and lightly touch them on the back or the shoulder and they won't notice it. Because they're all logic. They're all logic and zero feelings. They're not connected to their own system, their body. And this is why the narcissist got up in your head. This is why he twisted you in circles. If you can connect with your body, with your internal awareness, you will feel their malice. You will feel that smirk. Even if they're hiding it, you will feel the negative energy, the darkness coming from them. And you're like, oh, screw this person. And you're going to leave. It's the same thing with advice. You're going to start looking at these social media people like, oh, they're full of shit. They're just stuck on the surface level. Like, they don't actually even know what they're talking about. I can't tell you how many clients I've worked with over the years. Like, oh, so that's what that phrase means. I've been saying this to people for years, and I didn't even know what the hell I was saying. But they didn't know that they didn't know. Until you break it down, then you're like, oh. And a lot of you on this channel have said, man, there's something about your channel that's different. It's like, I actually understand this stuff. So here's the deal. There's nothing wrong with listening to advice or getting an education or training or studying. But here's the difference. Instead of just ping-pong from different advice from the same person that conflicts, you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make... And that's the thing, a lot of these people that are not grounded and don't actually understand on a gut level of what they're talking about, is they will give conflicting advice, and you're kind of looking like, wait a minute, 5 minutes ago, you literally said the opposite. Like, that doesn't make sense. But they're so disconnected, they don't realize that they just did that. So here's the difference. When you listen to someone, you then bring that information or the thought, you do this internal check and go, well, how do I feel about this? And it may be actually really good advice, but for some reason it doesn't work with you because there's something different inside you. So for that reason, it may not actually work for you. Now, the way Tony Robbins says it, he goes, look, take what works and put aside what doesn't work for now, because you might actually have to learn something or a few things before that other piece that you put aside. You're like, oh, because it may not make sense to you yet, but down the road you might be like, oh, I get that now. And now you take that tool and you pull it into your toolbox, you pull it inside, and now you start to use that strategy. So use what works for now and put aside for later what doesn't work for whatever reason. I'm going to give you a real life example. There was this kid, they were brothers, and he was, I think it was a grade beneath me, and his brother was younger. Now, he was tall and lanky, but he had an awkward body because he had like long legs and long arms, but he had kind of a short body. So he kind of walked different and whatever. But he joined the wrestling team. He didn't know how to wrestle, but he got good really, really fast. And he ended up coming up to the varsity team, and he actually started helping us win. So we were like, man, we were really happy with this guy. Now, remember in practice, now you got to understand, he went to a tournament and won every match, okay? So we came back Monday, and the coach is all pissed off at him, and he's teaching this technique, and I'm like, and the coach, the reason why he's teaching is because this guy was doing the technique wrong. But remember, he was winning. That's the results part. So the coach pulls him over and goes, look, you do it like this. You cup the hand underneath the thigh, and then you leverage out and pivot like this. And the kid tried to do it, but he couldn't do it. And he goes, coach, he goes, I can't do it like that. It doesn't work for me. He goes, and the coach, God damn it, just do it the way I teach you. So the kid almost cried. He's like, okay. So then we went to another tournament the next weekend, and he lost almost. In fact, I think he lost every match because he couldn't. It was what we call a reversal, and the thing was, he was brilliant at the reversal, and he got out every single time, and this was one of the key reasons why he won every match. But in this tournament, he was trying to do it the way the coach yelled at him to do it, but it didn't work for him. So remember, after a couple losses, I don't know if it was in that tournament or maybe it was the next week's tournament, he got pissed off. He goes, I don't care. I can't do it that way. It doesn't work. And he didn't tell the coach, but he was telling me. And I'm like, do whatever works for you, man. By the way, this kid was highly self-intuitive without even realizing it. And that's why he was so good. He used what worked. So in the next tournament, he won the entire tournament. He won every single match, Saturday and Sunday. Come Monday practice, the coach is pissed off. He goes, God damn it, I told you do it. And he started to cry. He goes, coach, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work that way. And he's just his tears are pouring. He goes, I can't win if I do it that way. And his just pouring. And I looked at the coach. I go, he does it the way he does it, and it works for some reason. And here's what ended up happening. There's another coach in the area, Coach Andy Foley, phenomenal coach. Okay, this guy was awesome. So he came over to help us out, and I think he was there that day when the kid was crying. And that coach actually was from Vallejo, and the kid was from American Canyon, which is right next door. So that's kind of a family thing. And meaning they're close to each other. And the coach had told our coach, like, look, you got to understand, like, look at his arms. He has long arms. He has long legs. He has a short body. He has a different body. The way you're teaching him works for people with normal length bodies, normal length legs. It will not work for people with longer arms, legs, etc., and a short body. They can't reach under because their arms are too long. So the way he's doing it is the correct way for people with that body type. In other words, the kid was right. He was listening to himself, and when he did listen to himself, he won. It is so important for you to start listening to yourself. Your life will go so much better. You'll have a lot more clarity, and all that scattered, stuff, nothing's working, that will all go on the wayside. That will all disappear. So number one, just telling you that, well, it's easy to say, but it's harder to do. So number one, what you have to do is you have to start being kind to yourself. You have to start loving yourself. You have to start paying attention to what your body is feeling, okay? Number two, you really do need to learn how to ground yourself emotionally and reconnect physically, neurologically with your physical body. And that is a third of what I specialize in. That's one of the core, in fact, that is the number one core piece that I focus on and specialize on with my clients. That is my specialty. If you guys want to do a workshop and a training on this, we'll do a 2 or 3 day training. Let me know and I'll set it up. Okay, you've got to contact me. You've got to let me know. I also do one-on-one coaching for teaching you how to be emotionally grounded and internal. Hey, this is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. If you like this video, please click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment. And if you want, you can go ahead and make a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.